Let's read my followers' stories.
In a serene village nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, there lived a young girl named Lexi. Known for her once vibrant laughter and joyful presence, Lexi had transformed into a figure of quiet sadness after the tragic loss of her parents. Her parents had been the center of her world, and their sudden departure had left a deep void in her heart. Lexi's parents had been traveling to a neighboring town for a trade, as they often did, but a fierce storm had struck on their return. The storm had claimed their lives, and Lexi had been left in the care of her elderly grandmother. The village had rallied around them, but no amount of sympathy or kindness could replace the loss Lexi felt. Her grandmother, although loving, was frail and unable to fill the void left by Lexi's parents. As the years passed, Lexi became a shadow of her former self. Her laughter, once bright and infectious, had vanished, replaced by a quiet sadness. She performed her daily chores with a heavy heart, moving through life as though in a fog. The villagers, though sympathetic, could only offer so much comfort. They saw Lexi as a figure of melancholy, often wondering if there was anything they could do to bring back her light. Each day, Lexi would retreat into the forest that bordered the village, finding solace among the ancient trees. The forest was a place of refuge, where she could escape the weight of her grief and be alone with her thoughts. She knew every path and hidden glade, every whisper of the wind through the leaves. Her favorite spot was a small, clear pond deep within the forest, where she would sit for hours, gazing at the ripples on the water and reflecting on the life she once had. One afternoon, as Lexi sat by the pond, she noticed something unusual. At the water's edge, a small, delicate flower was blooming, its petals shimmering like silver in the sunlight. It was unlike any flower she had ever seen. Drawn by its beauty, Lexi reached out to touch it. As her fingers brushed the petals, a tear slipped from her eye and fell onto the flower. To Lexi's astonishment, the flower began to glow with a warm, golden light. The light grew brighter, and before her eyes, a beautiful woman appeared. The woman was ethereal, with a gentle radiance that seemed to blend seamlessly with the light of the flower. Her presence was soothing and comforting, her eyes filled with understanding. "Why do you cry, dear child?" the woman asked, her voice like a gentle breeze through the trees. Lexi was taken aback but managed to find her voice. "I am sad. I feel so alone. My parents are gone, and though I am cared for, I cannot shake this feeling of loneliness." The woman's smile softened into a look of deep sympathy. "I am the spirit of this forest," she explained. "I have watched over you for many years. Your sadness has touched my heart, and I wish to help you. But first, you must do something for me." Lexi's curiosity and desperation to end her sadness drove her to ask, "What must I do?" "There is a creature that dwells deep within the forest," the spirit said. "It is a shadow, a being of darkness that feeds on the sorrow of others. It has grown stronger because of the sadness in your heart. You must confront the shadow and reclaim the light it has taken from you." The thought of facing such a creature was frightening, but Lexi knew she couldn't continue living in despair. With a determined nod, she agreed to undertake the task. The spirit led Lexi deeper into the forest, guiding her through areas she had never ventured before. The trees grew thicker, their branches forming a dense canopy that blocked out much of the sunlight. The air became heavier, and the sounds of the forest seemed distant and muted. After what felt like hours of walking, they reached a clearing. In the center of the clearing stood the shadow, a swirling mass of darkness that shifted and changed form. It seemed to absorb the light around it, creating an aura of oppressive gloom. Though it had no eyes, Lexi felt its cold, penetrating gaze. Her heart pounded, but she steeled herself. "You have taken my light," she said, her voice trembling but resolute. "I want it back." The shadow responded with a low, rumbling sound that reverberated through the clearing. "You gave it to me," it hissed. "You allowed your sadness to consume you. I am part of you now. You cannot defeat me." Lexi felt a wave of despair, but she recalled the spirit's words. She needed to find and reclaim the light within herself. Closing her eyes, she thought of all the happy moments she had shared with her parents. She remembered their laughter, the warmth of their hugs, and the joy they had brought into her life. She let those memories fill her heart, pushing away the sorrow that had taken hold. As she focused on these memories, a soft light began to emanate from within her. The light grew brighter, casting away the shadows that surrounded her. The shadow recoiled, its form writhing and distorting as the light intensified. With a determined cry, Lexi released all the light she had within her. The clearing was bathed in a brilliant, blinding light. The shadow let out a final, Anguish screamed before it was consumed by the light, vanishing into nothingness. The oppressive darkness was replaced by a serene, tranquil atmosphere. When the light dimmed, Lexi found herself alone in the clearing, the weight of her sorrow lifted. She felt a profound sense of relief and peace. For the first time in years, a true, heartfelt smile graced her face. The spirit reappeared beside her, her face glowing with pride. You have done well, Lexi. The darkness no longer holds power over you. Remember, the light within you is stronger than any shadow. Lexi thanked the spirit, who smiled warmly and then faded away. As she made her way back to the village, she noticed that the forest seemed to have changed. The trees no longer appeared ominous. Instead, they seemed to welcome her with open branches. The path was bathed in a gentle, golden light, reflecting the change within her. Returning to the village, Lexi's presence was transformed. The villagers noticed the change in her demeanor. Her eyes sparkled with a newfound light, and her steps carried a sense of warmth and purpose. Her grandmother was overjoyed to see her granddaughter's radiant smile. Lexi, my dear, her grandmother said, embracing her. You look different. There's a light in your eyes that I haven't seen in years. Lexi smiled, feeling the warmth of her grandmother's love and the new light in her heart. She knew that although her parents were gone, their memory would always be with her in the light she carried within. The forest, once a place of sorrow, had become a symbol of her strength and the endless possibilities of healing and hope. And so, Lexi continued to live in the village, no longer as the sad girl she once was, but as a beacon of hope and joy for everyone around her. She had reclaimed her light and found a new purpose, touching the lives of those around her with the warmth and brilliance she had rediscovered within herself.
Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. If you want to share your story, write it down in the comments. Peace.